Frankenweenie. Welcome back to Every Disney Movie Ever. My name is Jess and I'm watching Every Disney Movie Ever. Today I'm going to talk about Frankenweenie. Frankenweenie is a 2012 animated theatrical release. It is about Victor Frankenstein and how his dog tragically passes away and his science teacher inspires him to try and bring his dog back to life. It is directed by Tim Burton, cinematography by Peter Sorg, supervising animation done by Mark Waring, editing done by Chris Lebenzon and Mark Solomon, music by Danny Elfman, and it's written by John August with an idea from Tim Burton, and the 1984 short written by Leonard Rips. The film stars Charlie Tahan as Victor Frankenstein, Catherine O'Hara as Mrs. Frankenstein, the weird girl and the gym teacher, Martin Short as Mr. Frankenstein, Mr. Bergmeister, and Nasser. As I'm sure you can guess, this is a parody of Frankenstein. So I don't really know if I should do a summary, because I guess it is based off of it, but it's a parody. So I think I'll do a summary, but I don't know if I'm gonna do like the whole thing, because it's a long story. Maybe I'll do like a rambly thing. Let's see if I can get it. But it is based off of it here. I have it written down. Mary Shelley's 1818 book, Frankenstein or the Modern Prometheus. Like I said, I'm not going to do a traditional do thing. I'm just going to like ramble and see what happens. For those that don't know the original story of Frankenstein, I didn't until I read this summary. It is actually wild. I had no idea what the original Frankenstein story was. I knew it was like Frankenstein's monster. So like the creature isn't called Frankenstein, even though we've come to call it Frankenstein. And it's like, is the monster really the monster, or is Victor Frankenstein the monster? You know, this whole thing. So, let's jump into it. Victor Frankenstein is found almost frozen to death by a captain in the Arctic or whatever. They bring him on, they de-thaw him basically, and he starts telling a story about his creature that he's in pursuit of. It flashes back. We learn that Victor is raised in Italy. He's like basically kind of betrothed to his adopted sister. He's obsessed with learning about alchemy and alchemists and science, and he wants to go to university for it, but then his mom dies and that puts it off because he's in extreme grief. But then he goes to university and he studies science, experiments, does tons of learning and chemistry, all this kind of stuff, and basically learns how to give life to non-living matter. And so he wants to do it to a humanoid creature, and in order to do that, he makes a very large humanoid because he can't replicate the small parts of the human body very well. He wants the creature to be beautiful, but when he brings it to life, it's actually hideous. It's got yellow eyes, yellow skin. The skin is like translucent, and you can see the blood vessels and the muscles, and it scares Victor, and he runs away. He runs into an old friend, and he invites the friend back, and then he realizes, oh no, the friend might see my creature. He goes in, the creature is gone. So now he's like, oh my gosh, what's happening? So then he's horrified, has a little bit of a breakdown. His friend invites him to his house. He's with his friend, starts studying Oriental languages. He considers this the happiest time of his life. Well, then he hears there's a murder near his hometown, so he heads to go figure out what that is because he's afraid it might be his creature. He gets there, and the person murdered was his brother, and his nanny is the nanny of his brother is the one taken and hung for the crime. Then Victor takes up mountain climbing to deal with that grief and guilt, and he runs into the creature. The creature is intelligent, has learned, can speak, can articulate, is very smart, and was just wanting to like live a life and felt jaded that Victor abandoned him, basically. And then he was hiding. He found out people were afraid of him, and so he was hiding in the woods and kind of grew fond of this family that he didn't let himself be known to, but he was like chopping wood for them and clearing, you know, snow away out of their driveway basically for them. And then one day when the whole family was gone besides the blind father, he went in and had a whole conversation with the blind father, and it was lovely and he loved it. But then the family came home and saw him and were scared and ran away, and left and abandoned the house. And it made the creature so angry that he decided to try and find Victor to see if he could make sense of it and see if they could figure something out. And on his way to find Victor, a child had fallen into the river, and he saved the child, and the child was scared, and then dad came and was like threatening and shot the creature, and then the creature was like, screw this, I will get revenge, and started killing the people Victor loves. And so Victor basically is held with like blackmail of, I'm gonna kill the rest of your family unless you build me a creature companion that can be mine. And so Victor's like, bet. So Victor starts building the creature, but then starts getting like really scared about like, what if they can like procreate? And then we have these like superhuman monsters taking over the world because they're stronger than us and bigger than us. So he decides to trash that project. That pisses off the creature. The creature decides to follow through and is like, you'll see me on your wedding night. And Victor's like, I'm not gonna get married. But then he hears his dad isn't doing well, so he races home and he's like, Dad, are you okay? And his dad is like, please, please, before I die, marry your adopted sister. So he does, and on the night of his wedding, he's ready. He goes looking for the creature. Creature strangles his wife. And then his dad dies because he's so torn up about all of the deaths that have happened. It's also revealed that the creature framed the nanny and did in fact murder his brother. And so Victor's like, oh my gosh, has another full mental breakdown, and then gets framed for murder, but then is acquitted because there was an eyewitness. And then he decides he's going to set out and try and find the creature and kill the creature. And so he's in the Arctic looking for the creature because he thinks the creature's in the Arctic because there's been sightings. Like the people on this boat. People on the boat are like, oh my gosh. But then Victor's like, please, like, help me. And they're like, no, we're actually going to turn around. This sounds really scary. So they're turning around. And Victor's like, no, I want to kill this creature. Victor dies from the hypothermia. And when Victor dies, the creature's on the boat and is weeping and is like mourning the death of Victor and says, I will harm no other people. I'm gonna go take care of myself so no one can see me and no one has to live this life ever again. The end. How was that? I feel like that was pretty decent, actually. It's not that similar. It's just Frankenstein brings his dead dog alive. This is a feature length of a short that Disney actually did with Tim Burton back in 1984 of the same name called Frankenweenie, but it is live action. It's obviously a parody of Mary Shelley's, like I said, 1818 novel Frankenstein or the Modern Prometheus. In 2007, Burton was asked to direct this and Alice in Wonderland. In 2008, August was brought on to write. It was filmed in black and white, and it's a very tongue-in-cheek Frankenstein parody, right? They make a lot of references to old Frankenstein movies, other science fiction, and various horror classics and literary classics. Some that probably went well over my head because I'm not very well versed in classic horror or horror at all, especially Frankenstein. I'm not a big zombie person. The sets for this film were much bigger than normal stop-motion animation films because Sparky needed to be dog-sized compared to the people, but the people they normally make, you know, are like this big, so to make a little dog that has this many moving parts and everything would have been too small, so they had to make everything a little bit bigger. Sometimes they needed Swiss watchmakers to come in and work with tiny little gears and bolts and everything. 200 separate puppets were made. There were 19 versions of Victor, and there were 300 parts for Sparky alone. This was nominated for an Oscar, lost to Brave. It has an 87% Rotten Tomatoes consensus. Frankenweenie is an energetic stop-motion horror movie spoof with lovingly crafted visuals and a heartfelt oddball story. It was a $39 million budget and made $81.5 million box office. Not too bad. It could be way worse. I did watch the original 1984 Frankenweenie short, so we can talk about that very briefly. It is a stacked cast. It's got the kid from Neverending Story. It's got the guy that plays Marv in Home Alone. It's got Shelley Duvall. And it's a very cute, fun little short that they use every piece of in the full-length feature. Some big moments where the dog dying immediately, the sprinkler on the window, the bringing to life scene and his little scientist outfit was hysterical. The POV shots from Sparky's perspective were great. And the whole angry mob scene was really scary and really well done. And it's just a cute little short. I love that they let Tim Burton make that. It was very fun. And it really helped establish this for me going into the movie. I was so in for the black and white. I was thrilled. I love a black and white movie. What's not to like? This looked really beautiful in black and white. It really worked for it. It looks exactly like you'd think and you'd expect for a Tim Burton movie. It literally, the suburbia is like Edward Scissorhands. The graveyard is like Nightmare Before Christmas. All the characters look exactly and move exactly like Tim Burton characters move. Everything looked and was beautiful and exactly what you'd expect. The first big scene of bringing Sparky back to life was incredible. It was so well edited. It was so well animated. It was amazing. I actually think that scene is superior to any other in the movie. I also think it is superior to the live action one in 1984. It is genuinely, I was like, oh my god, like how beautiful and everything was happening. It was just really, really well done. Danny Elfman, great job as per usual. No complaints about Danny Elfman's score. My only complaint is the end credits song right at the beginning of the end credits is a little out of place to me. But the score, excellent, as usual for Danny Elfman. This was very similar to the short. It had all the elements of the short, all the story pieces of the short. It just really filled it out with more things. So, you know, the short is very straightforward. The dog dies being hit by a car. Same thing happens. He gets inspired by his science teacher with the frog legs and the electricity to bring Sparky back to life. He brings Sparky back to life. In the short, Sparky then is trying to go out and be a dog and people are scared. And then there's an angry mob. He's trying to save the dog. Dog then saves him from the fire and the angry mob sees this and then helps bring it back, right? Super short, condensed. This one, there's some, the kids all want to win the science fair. So then the kids hear that Victor brought the dog back to life. So then they all want to bring all these creatures back to life, and then there's a big climax with, they all brought these animals back to life, but it all went wrong because the thing that really brought Sparky back to life on top of the science was Victor's love for Sparky, and because all these kids didn't care about the pets they were bringing back, they all turned into, really vicious, awful creatures. So you got, a Turtlezilla, you got a cat bat that's really evil, you got sea monkeys out here doing the dang thing. There's a lot of different animals being evil. So it gets a little bit different in the second half, but still the same, they go into the windmill, yeah, they go into the windmill house thing, and Sparky still saves Victor, and that's what turns everybody's opinion of stitched up, scary Sparky, and they bring Sparky back to life, and blah, 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 blah. So it is all very similar, very good. One of my favorite lines in the movie is, science is neither good or bad. It can be used for both, so you gotta be careful what you do with it. I loved that, and I think all the kids being, this competitive about a science fair was hilarious. I thought that was so funny. My favorite part, Sparky, big time. My least favorite part, probably the cat bat, or everyone just being mean. I don't know, but probably the cat. That was, scary. That made me sad. Weird girl lost her cat. Recommend? Yes. Watch again? Probably. I'd be glad to watch this. It was very cute. Specific moments. The cat poop premonitions. Wild of Weird Girl. The teacher's speech to the PTA was insane. I had heard this was really funny, but it wasn't that funny. Some of the things were ridiculous, so that made you laugh, but there weren't a ton of jokes that made me laugh, which I thought was interesting, especially because I had heard it was super funny. I just wanted my dog back from Victor. My heart. This was cool, gorgeous, fun, good time. Everybody did a good job. I liked it. My final rating is 8. How much should I do? 8. I kind of want to do Sparkies, so dogs. Franken dogs. 8 Franken dogs out of 10. Our total movie count is. Pterodactyl and Craig count are still the same. If you want to keep up what movie I'm watching when, follow me on all socials to find out what movie I'm watching when. I put out videos every Monday and Friday, sometimes Wednesday. Join Patreon. Get a tier starting at just $1. You get every video a week early. Coupon code for merch, exclusive merch access. So go check it out. Tiers above that, daily trivia, monthly postcards, bonus content, etc. Buy merch. Merch is great. Merch is grand. This is OG. Until next time, comment, subscribe. I'm not in charge of your life. You are, so do you. And don't be Mr. Burgemeister about it. He was awful. The sets for this film were much bigger than normal stop motion. Okay. The sets for this film were much bigger than most stop motion. Okay.